Lauren Southern, the independent journalist, was recently dropped from Patreon. Now, this matters because Patreon was her only source of funding. Patreon, as you might know, is a crowdfunding platform whereby people contribute $1, $5 per month, and the money goes to the creator to do whatever they want with it. Now, of course, the terms of service of Patreon are that you cannot be involved in illegal activities or any kind of activity that promotes violence. The reason Lauren Southern was dropped was because of some boat that was going to be patrolling the Mediterranean and trying to gather information insofar as how non-governmental organizations are helping human traffickers move migrants from the north of Africa to Europe. That's a laudable goal, and it was an avowedly non-violent goal. But Patreon said that activity was considered violent, and therefore they were not going to allow her to continue to use Patreon. This, of course, flies in the face of the fact that Patreon has an Antifa account that is very active, that raises roughly $1,100 a month, I believe. And this group is openly calling for violent resistance to the Trump administration. So, of course, one would say, Patreon is being incredibly hypocritical. And to answer that, I say, and what's your point? You see? Because the left has been hypocritical for quite some time. The biggest sin that the left is committing is not allowing people to speak. Liberals are against free speech. And now this is new, all right, historically speaking, because in, say, the 1960s and 70s and 80s, the liberals did not have a problem with opposing points of view. On the contrary, they tended to encourage them. Because you see, the liberals that were in power during the late 60s and 70s and 80s, they had come from the 50s when the right had been trying to shut dialogue down. And the left had been all in favor of dialogue. And this, of course, this squeeze on the right, the Red Scare, McCarthyism, and so forth, this had led to the radicalization of the left, which, of course, exploded during the mid to late 1960s. And the debris of that explosion colored everything during the 1970s and even the 80s. The baby boom generation were radicalized to the left because of the repression of the right during the 50s and very early 60s. We are seeing something similar, but in the opposite direction. We are seeing the left trying to suppress speech. And it's not just Lauren Southern here. They're doing it with speakers. I mean, famously, Jordan Peterson, who is about as middle of the road as can possibly be, he could not speak at some college lecture that he was going to be giving. Charles Murray, the noted scholar, who of course says things that the left does not like, well, he had to be escorted out of, I believe, Middlebury College because there was going to be a riot around him. They were fearful for his bodily safety, which is insane if you think about it. The left has been trying to shut down speech. The right, on the contrary, has been trying to encourage speech. And of course, it is encouraging speech in a very real sense to poke at the left and goad them into an overreaction. But that's for another conversation. The issue becomes, of course, why is the left doing this? Why is the left trying to shut down people, trying to shut down Lauren Southern, trying to shut down these noted individuals for their speech? Because they're only speaking words. Why? Because I've always told you that the most important question that you should be asking is why? Why is something happening? The answer to this problem is fairly obvious. You see, the left has no ideas. Liberalism in the Western democracies is bankrupt insofar as ideas, and it's showing itself in the polls. See, they keep losing. They lost with Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton was supposed to be a shoo-in for the presidency, and they lost. And they can talk all they want about winning the popular vote. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, what matters are the electoral votes, and Trump got them. That's that. All right. Now, in Great Britain, in Europe, the left is losing. They're losing the political argument. They don't have any ideas to offer the citizenry. And they are not reverting to the populism of before because the left is in the pockets of the oligarchy. The oligarchy, the moneyed interests, the big fortunes, the great fortunes that have been accumulating across all industries because of the monopoly policies that have been implemented in the Western economies. See, the liberal politicians are bought and paid for, so they cannot revert to the populism that served them so well before. So what do you have? You have just trying to shut down speech using the law, using corporations, using any means necessary to shut down any kind of dissent, just as the right did in the 1950s. What happened to the left because of the 1950s, because of the Red Scare, because of McCarthyism? What happened? It got radicalized. Seriously radicalized. What are we seeing now? What are we seeing now online among young people on the right? We are hearing sensible young people talk about things that they never would have dreamed of talking about 10 years ago, let alone 20 or 30 years ago. Issues such as race realism and all sorts of notions that before were not quite taboo, but were not discussed in polite company. Now they are becoming mainstream. The right is becoming radicalized. Now, you would say, well, what's the big deal? What can happen? Well, you see, when the right radicalizes, the right usually coalesces around a strongman leader. And a lot of people on the left ridiculously think that Donald Trump is that strongman leader, and they're completely mistaken because they don't understand who Donald Trump is. Donald Trump is a used car salesman. He is a used car salesman who does not really want political power. He just wants the attention and adulation for psychological reasons of his own. He doesn't want to be a powerful man. He wants to be a loved man. He wants big crowds to adore him. He doesn't want power. He wouldn't know what to do with power. In fact, he has political power now. He has both houses of Congress. He has the shot of setting the pace for the Supreme Court for the next 50 years because of the people who will be dying off in the Supreme Court and who will be appointed by the Trump administration. Trump has the Democrats who are, imploding and committing political suicide. In 2018, most of the seats of Congress that are in play, especially in the Senate, currently belong to Democrats. They are going to lose those seats. They are going to lose huge in the 2018 election. And yet Donald Trump does not understand this because he does not want political power. But you see, the one who will come after Trump, he's the danger. He's the real danger. He will be an autocrat on the right. Because Donald Trump wants to be loved, so he's not really pushing the left. But the autocrat who will embody the aspirations of the radicalized right, which we are seeing because the left is so afraid of free speech. And it seems absurd. It seems absurd that the left's inability to listen to free speech and to divergent opinions is going to lead to some sort of autocratic dictator from the right. It seems crazy on its face. It has happened before. This is not unusual. It is not unusual at all for one political party to try to silence dissenting opinion, and by that effort at silencing leads to radicalization that pushes up an autocratic leader. It's like when you squeeze a tube of toothpaste, the stuff comes out. See? You squeeze it hard enough and long enough, a lot of the stuff will come out. We are going to see that. We are going to see that radicalization of the right, and it is because the liberals are unable to accept free speech. They are unable to enter into any kind of dialogue because they have no ideas. Because if they enter into any kind of free speech zone, into any kind of dialogue, they are going to lose because they don't believe in anything. They have no ideas. Now, you would think, I am on the right. I am a man of the right. And you would think to yourself that I would be happy to know that the left is bankrupt of ideas, that I would be happy to think that the left is rudderless and has no ideas, no plans for the future, you're wrong. You're wrong. Because for a functioning democracy, which is what we all want, you need both sides of the political spectrum to have strong ideas that they can slug out in the halls of Congress and in the wider culture, so that we could all go to a common democracy, a common republic. But the left and the current political leadership of the left that refuses to let go and step aside for fresh ideas, new ideas, different ideas, well, their intransigence is going to lead to a radicalized right that will grow in power and that will overwhelm the republic when they gather behind an autocratic leader. It's in the post, as it were. It's coming. And we will look back at the liberals who were against free speech, who were in favor of silencing all dissenting opinion, and we'll say them. It was them that caused this.